Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Frostbites. Today we have on Rocco Cozza and our co-host is Dionne Malush. And again, we are at Mink Studios. The conversation today was not boring. Although Rocco Cozza is an attorney, he's not one of those boring attorneys. And Dionne Malush is going to be so fun today, so you don't want to miss this episode. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're diving right in here with Rocco Cozza today. Hi, Rocco.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
And of course, we have the beautiful Dionne.
Hi, Helen. I'm so excited to be here. I'm just teasing. Yeah, I'm excited.
So this is like Dionne is not used to this.
Okay.
So yeah, she was so excited to be here. We had Andrew Stuckey here this morning,
Okay.
and then she's like surrounded by all these powerful, wonderful guys, and she's just
We'll have some fun.
It
Don't
is
worry.
a day she's having.
When I usually go live, that's what I'm not.
Yeah.
Used
Well,
to.
we're not live, so
I
if
mean, I feel a
know.
little bit live, like we're alive, right?
Alive? Yeah, she is alive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
These are fun.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have some good time. So Rocco,
Yes,
you're an attorney.
I am. Yeah, that is what I do.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah,
I mean, usually,
That's pretty much it,
Do
yeah.
attorneys have fun?
I don't know. This one does.
yeah. Look, an attorney is. I love the profession of law, but it's. I think people stereotype attorneys. That and there are many attorneys that fit into that stereotype. I do believe that. I just take a very practical approach to the way we do things. It's just we're just people that solve problems. That's what I say. That's what attorneys truly are. I'm a business lawyer, so I solve problems for businesses. I don't overcomplicate things. I just try and get right to the point. I tend to be very blunt with clients. I'm very open and honest. I tell them when their idea is dumb, when their idea is great, and everything in between. Because you have to. I'm not going to take a client's money just to take their money. Like I want to make sure they're doing the right thing. There's many times a client will call with an idea like that's just not smart, or they want to fight over, they want to litigate something that's there might be $5,000 in dispute, but it's going to cost them $50,000 to fight about. It's like don't do that. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just a business decision. So we just try and provide practical advice, and I just truly love what I do.
Do you have a lot of people that come to you and they're like, I want to fight. I just want to fight over this. I want to win. Is that what it is? Like, I just want to win.
So we have litigation departments. I don't do much litigation. I've been involved, but we do have clients that want to prove a point. And sometimes it makes sense to do that, right? If you're setting a precedent within your company or dealing with a certain situation that you know is going to continue to happen, then yeah, it may make sense in those instances to do something to set a precedent. But there are a lot of times where, it's emotional. Litigation's emotional. When you're in the middle of a dispute, emotion can take over. And it's my job to try and take the emotion out of it, look at it rationally and logically and say, okay, what makes the most sense right now? And sometimes it does make sense to fight, but I will tell you, out of 10, maybe 3 make sense to fight. The other 7 is like, hey, let's just try and resolve this amicably. It's cheaper for everybody and like less time and money. So
Yeah, I mean, life is too short to fight all the time. I mean, that would.
It's a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
It is, and I think again, it's because business and disputes can be emotional, and sometimes you just have to let people sleep on things. I will say, hey, let's talk again next week. Let it sit for a minute. Let's just think about it. Don't make any decisions right now. And sometimes cooler heads will prevail, and that's what I always try. I try and be the voice of reason to clients and provide them some level of peace of mind that, hey, whatever path we take, we're going to do what needs to be done, but the path you want to take right now might not be the best path. Let's just think about it, sleep on it, and we'll come back. And most of those times, cooler heads do prevail, and we don't end up going down that road.
Now, we said you're an attorney, but you're like the attorney.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
I mean, you're all over
Sure.
social media. I see ads everywhere. You are so.
We have a
your
good marketing
is
team.
Awesome.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Kylie does our marketing. I have a firm on the outside that does our SEO and our web. It's just, I'm trying to do it differently. Like I worked in big law when I came out of law school. I worked in-house as a corporation. And when we started the firm, I just wanted to approach it differently. And it's a business. That's what we are. It's a business that sells legal services. So you have to market. You have to brand. Most attorneys don't like to do that. They don't like to go on podcasts like this. They're very old school. I'm just trying to flip it and say, why not do it this way? So, yeah.
And it's working for you.
Right. I think the more people get to know you as a person, because you are fun and you're
See?
I
See, not all lawyers are boring.
Not at all.
Despite
For sure.
what
like,
people
there's
think.
that number. Like, is it 8 out of 10 are boring? I don't know. So it's nice to see that. And I think that's why reality TV has done so well, because we were able to
100%.
see a side of people that we didn't know. And so you doing this is huge for your business.
Yeah, and honestly, when people ask like how we've grown the firm, because I mean we've grown probably 40 to 50% year over year for the past 4 years,
Amazing.
And there has been a large marketing spend. It's truly just being real and authentic, and people just like us, like the whole team. Like we hire the right people, and we have a really good group of human beings. Like we have 3 core values in the firm: be a good human being, be willing to get dirty, and have an entrepreneurial spirit. So if you have to have those 3 values, and if they align with that, then the rest is easy. And you just being a good human being is the first one. Like just be a decent person, be nice, be real, be authentic. Don't fake it. I've just always done that, and I think people appreciate that. Like I'll tell them I don't know. Like I'm not a lawyer that's going to say I have all the answers, because I don't. I will be very honest with people. So I think you just have to get to that point in life and be comfortable being uncomfortable in those situations, and it makes things so much easier.
The irony is that sounds so simple,
It does sound
but it's so difficult for so many people to be like that.
Yeah.
That's why you're successful, I think, because it's not that hard I mean, I've been to his offices. Everybody there is so cool. I mean, they're playing golf. They're having fun.
We do have a golf tournament every year.
Right?
Yes, we do.
But, I mean, they have a good time, but they have a good time in their business. They have a good time with their clients.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not a bunch of assholes, which, I mean, honestly.
That's good to know. Yes.
They're not. I
No,
mean,
you're right.
You know, I know almost everybody in our office. I think there's a couple newbies that I
we
haven't
have some
met
new
yet.
people. Yes, absolutely.
But, I mean, I know how long it takes him to hire people. It's not as if he's like, oh, let's put this on Indeed or let's put this on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then, oh, here's 3 people. Let's hire 2 of them.
No, we take. Hiring is. I mean, you have to be very careful when you hire.
Right. And which is what we were just talking about, how long it takes to hire someone and retain the right person, which I think, they do a lot of that in their office, is retaining the right people. And
Yeah. And I think once we understood our core values, it made the hiring process a lot easier. Because we were going through the whole EOS process and rebuilding everything, which is a daunting task in and of itself. I mean, you understand that. It's like you rip everything apart. Like, I'm the worst business owner ever. Like, I've done everything wrong. This is terrible. My business is shit. But then you start putting it back together, and you really dig down into what it is that makes you successful. And once we figure out those values, like, okay, now we can check people off really quick. Like, nope, doesn't have that, don't have that. So it eliminates a lot of the time lag in the hiring process, but we're still very careful with who we hire. And we're not always going to get it right. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But
How long have you been in business?
I started the firm July 1st of 2019. Wow. So I started
Huge growth quickly.
Yeah, overwhelming. Well, because I started it, I left corporate America and started it intending to be a solo practitioner. Like,
what was the business right before you started yours?
So I was in-house. I ran the legal department of a large technology company. So I was actually worked in South Point. So I was here for 14 years. And I resigned in 2018.
Okay.
And I took 2018. I was still doing like consulting for them, because they didn't have a succession plan for me. I was doing some speaking and involved in some other businesses and doing some legal stuff. And then it was July 1st of 2019, I incorporated the firm. I said, okay, let me just focus on this. And I was intending to be a solo. And then when the pandemic hit is when everything took off. Everybody was playing defense. I played offense. I said, okay, everybody's trying to save costs, and, big firms were taking all the partners and putting the money to them and getting rid of associates. So clients were kind of getting pissed. That's when we grew, and I just started hiring people, and now there's 11 of us. So, yeah, it's...
I can't believe there's 11 of you now.
Wow.
How do I remember everybody's name? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people there now.
Grows quickly.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when you took over this office, and there was just a couple of you. And you said,
we're
there's
almost
so
full.
many offices. How am I going to fill this?
Yeah,
And
we have 2 offices left, and we have 4 cubes in there now. We're getting 2 more. So we can probably fit 4 more people. and then we'll have to get more space.
So how many employees are you looking to have? What is your goal?
Our goal is 100 employees in 10 years. That's kind of what we put on the board.
Was there like a hat you pulled that number out of?
No, we went through the whole planning process and said, okay, like why can't we? Like other large global firms start just like us. Why can't we do it? Mm-hmm. We just have to figure out the path, and we just said let's pick the number. We said 10 years, and we kind of charted out the growth path. That if we keep growing at this pace, organically and inorganically, we'll get there.
Do you want to be global?
Yeah, I look at it like this. Why can't I? There's nothing stopping us now. It's just we will be our own worst enemy. Mm-hmm. So I just look at it like that. Like why stop?
I remember the Super Bowl when Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl, and he said, "Why not me?"
Yeah, right.
And I wrote
That's
that
exactly
down,
right.
and because I never forgot that. Like, why not? Why not you? Right?
That's exactly it. I mean, I say that all the time. You know, I'm building a legacy now. Like my name's on the wall, and I want that to carry on past me. You know, I have kids that want to be lawyers, and I think, I take that very seriously. The legacy we're building, because I really want to try and build a different type of law firm that treats clients differently, that operates differently, and I think we're doing a good job of it. We have to keep refining it over and over. But yeah, there's not going to be a time in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm good, I'm done. That's just not how I'm wired. I just won't do that.
I like what you said about when you thought I'm a terrible business owner, right? Because I think that too. There's days I'm like, oh my God, I am horrible at this. Like, why am I in business? Like, I just need to be by myself in a room with black curtains up and nothing else because I am not that good. But we're better than the people that aren't trying.
That's exactly right.
And so
That's
the more you
exactly
keep
right.
trying and getting better and better,
Yes.
you'll hit that goal. Because why? Because you know that's your goal.
Yes.
You have a clear path.
That's it. It's having the clear vision. That's what I've learned. Having a clear vision. And a friend of mine I met for coffee this past week, and she said something to me which really stuck. She was in the military as well, and she said, "Leaders see what needs to be done and do it. Followers want to be told what needs to be done." Mm-hmm. Wow. She's like, "That's why you grow, because you just see what needs to be done and just do it." Mm-hmm. I'm like, that was a very profound really quote. Mm-hmm. But it stuck with me because it's true. Like I don't really have the path laid out. I just said, okay, I know what the next thing is I need to do, and I just go do that. And then as you do that, you see the vision gets wider and wider, and that's really what we've done. So
tell us about your marketing message. I think that's
yeah,
you are everywhere. I open up Facebook. I'm like, there he is again. What is he doing?
I mean, our marketing. Truly, our brand is giving people peace of mind. Like that's really what it boils down to. Our goal is to give our clients peace of mind. Either they're starting a business, they're in litigation, they're planning their estate. We want to, whatever we're handling for them, we want them to have peace of mind that is handled the right way and with the right people. That's truly it. And our tagline is redefining legal services. So that kind of encompasses all of it, but it really is giving people peace of mind and making the complex simple. Like most lawyers, I've dealt with them, they overcomplicate shit. Mm. And it's just like, no, like just get to the essence of the issue. In most situations, there's one thing that really needs to be discussed, but either they want to run up a bill, they want to charge more money. It's just crazy. So we just try and make things very simple.
I like it. So definitely unique.
Yeah, we're trying. We're trying.
We can suit every other day about something. I feel like, So I appreciate attorneys. I think you do an amazing job. And
thank you.
But your marketing, that's really for me, because I love marketing and I love watching you grow and knowing that you just started this in 2019.
Yeah, literally.
Feels like you've been in business for like 50 years, right? Because you probably feel the same way, but
I feel very aged.
Like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. But the idea of you, it seems so much different because of your marketing. It's really good, Rocco.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's just really being authentic.
The thing is, though, is that he still goes on vacation. He still takes a break. He still makes time for personal life and everything else. I see a lot of people that are balls to the wall all the time, but they're not sleeping.
They'll burn themselves out.
Yes, they're not sleeping, and then they get angry, and they just seem like just tense constantly. But he's tan. Geez.
I think if you just enjoy what you do, like it's like I don't ever take a vacation. I say like I'm never unplugged completely, and that's probably one of my downfalls. Right, I should unplug a little bit more. But I love what I do. There's not a day where I'm like I gotta go to work or I have to go into the office. I go in on Saturdays and Sundays because I love solving problems, and I love the fact that we're building something that hasn't been done. So I look at it like that. I get to put this thing together that when I die will hopefully live on past me. So I don't want to take a vacation from that. I want to go and rest and recharge. That's kind of what I do. Like I'll go on trips to rest and recharge, but I don't want to be away because I hate being away from it.
What do you call that?
Rest and recharge.
That's really what it is. It's like, I just need
That's a better way of looking at it because I love to work.
Yes.
So if you love to work, you're taking a vacation from what you love. That
right.
makes sense, right? But rest and
That's
recharge.
Exactly right.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I heard it on a podcast years ago, and I can't remember which one, but it was because it was the same thing. They said, why would you take a vacation from something you love? You take a vacation from things you don't like. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like I just need to rest and recharge every once in a while. And that I started looking at it that way. It's like, oh, okay. And then I think I'm more intentional about what I do in my personal life. So like taking those breaks are more intentional breaks. Even who I hang out with socially has gotten more intentional because I love what I do so much. I want to make sure the time I spend is with the right people and talking about the right things and recharging myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically in the right way. So this is what you got to look at as a business owner, I think.
So when I went to Florida with a couple of girlfriends last year, and they were like razzing me the entire time for having my laptop and working for a few hours in the morning, that was okay.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I do that every time we go on a family vacation. Like I tell my staff, I said, look, I'll be online probably in the morning till about 10. Mm-hmm. So if you need to get me then, or like in the evening, I'll check my email. Mm-hmm. So I let them know that I'm accessible. Here's the times where if you really need to get me, you can get me during those times. But other than that, I still take the time with my family and rest and relax, but I just like it too much. I really do.
That's how I was. And they were like up and down, like, you're supposed to be taking a break. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I have stuff I want to get done. And I would be thinking about everything I want to do as far as my business.
Here's
so
what
I was just getting things done. And
here's what I say. When people say that, like, you have to be taking a break, I always say, who's saying that to me? Would I trade places with them? And if I wouldn't trade places with them, I'm not going to listen to them. Like, if someone is way ahead of me and they're like, yeah, you need to take a break, I'm probably going to listen and say, okay, they're where I want to be. How do they get there? Maybe breaks are important. No one where I want to go has said to me, you need to take a break. Now, one person in my life who I look up to as a mentor or someone I'm inspiring to be has said, you need to take breaks. It's always the people that are kind of behind you. Oh, you need to slow down. It's like, no, I'm not slowing down.
You slow down.
Yeah.
You go ahead and slow down and see where we're at.
What people I think want to do, they want you to slow down so they don't fall so far behind. Right. That's truly how I look at it.
These are sound bites.
Yeah, I really, I do agree with that 100%. Everybody has an opinion, but they're not walking in your shoes. So until you walk past where I'm going, then you have the right to tell me how to do it. And I feel that way. And it's not mean. I'm not being rude, but I'm not going to take advice from somebody that's telling me you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah, I always come back to that saying, like, don't take advice from people you wouldn't trade places with.
And that's very true, yeah.
And they may be saying something that's factually accurate, but are they implementing what they're saying?
Right. And is it
you
good,
take it with a grain of salt.
Is it good advice? And it probably is, and you listen, but that doesn't mean that you stop what you're doing because they said this is how you should do it.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Don't stop. I mean, truly, that's it. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, just don't quit. Most people quit right when they're about to hit success. Like, truly, like, I know so many people, business owners and friends of mine, who called it quits right before they became successful. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to keep going. You go through, failures and challenges and obstacles, but as long as you get up and keep moving, you'll eventually get where you want to go.
So you're saying you've failed before?
Oh, I've failed a million times.
Oh, if you're not trying,
listen, I have plenty of stories. I mean, you have to fail.
You have no choice. You have to. There's no way you can pick up the pieces and move forward without knowing what failure feels like.
No, and you have to take chances. I think if you play it too safe, life isn't about playing safe. I truly believe that. Like, we're all meant to do great things. It's just most of us don't do them because we're afraid. I think if you just get rid of the fear and just say, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm confident in my ability to solve a problem. So I will try anything. I say, okay, it's just a problem I have to solve. Then how do I look at the situation, what's going on, and say, okay, what do I have to do? And that's just why I keep trying things. And do I screw up a lot? Absolutely. I'm human. Me too. I mean, all the time, every day probably.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's what makes us entrepreneurs.
Yes.
We pick up the pieces, we lay flat on our back, and then we jump back up and go at it.
Yeah, that's really it. It's truly, being an entrepreneur is probably the hardest thing you can do, but it's also the most enjoyable. Like I love it.
It's
That's
so
rewarding.
much
Yeah.
good.
It is. But no one understands also how lonely it is. It is. I mean, it's a very lonely,
and you're
lonely
a man
thing.
saying that, like as a woman, like
yeah.
I feel so lonely. There's so many days. I'm so glad we're talking like this because I feel you're gonna open up a lot of people's eyes to this because it is very lonely.
It absolutely
is. Trust who you.
That's a big one.
Trust is so hard.
Well, because no one's going to care as much as you. That's the one thing I've learned. Like I no one will care as much as me until they're equally invested as me. And even at that point in time, you still, it's still lonely because no one understands the burden an entrepreneur carries on their shoulders every single day. Like people see me in my office and they see me doing all this stuff and they think I can do it all. I'm like, there's many days where I just want to lose my shit. Like I just want to say, I can't, I'm going to leave. I'm just going to go drive my car, see where I go.
As far as possible.
Yes,
Can you pick
us up on your way?
We're going to.
There are many days where I'm just like, I'm just going to get in my car and drive and just see where I end up. Because but then I always snap myself back and I say, I come back to pressure is privilege. And I say, okay, like I wanted this. I have to just pick it up and deal with it. And but there are many lonely days.
Do you think your spouse understands?
Yeah, like Laura has that. I mean, I couldn't be married to anybody else because she truly understands and she's always given me the bandwidth to do what I need to do, and she's always can pick up on when I'm having those moments, and she'll just say, okay, we need to go out or we need to go do something. So. She takes care of everything else in life, the kids stuff. Like I don't have to worry about anything else, so I can focus on that. Because I think who you marry is important. I mean, not many people understand us because it's, and she may not understand me fully. Because I don't think anybody will ever understand me fully. Because it's unless you're inside my head every day, it's hard to know. And I don't try and burden her with the stuff I carry as well. And that's the problem we have as entrepreneurs. Like we don't like to burden people with our problems, but sometimes you just got to talk about them. And it is a lonely game. It really is.
I remember one day when I had a really bad day, and I got in a car. I was in my Corvette, and I just drove to this lake over in Canonsburg, and I sat there for like 4 hours and bawled my eyes out for hours. And they had the tracker that you put on your people's phone. Well, my staff had it on my phone because when I was out showing houses or whatever, just making sure where I was. And they knew I was sitting there. No one came for me, but they knew it. They didn't know if I jumped in the lake. They didn't know I knew where I was doing.
Where my head went.
So I'm thinking, dude, like we knew you were there. So then I called. You know what I did? I called Jeff. One of my coaches. I called Jeff and cried to him for 2 of the 4 hours, and it was just the worst day in business. But it shifted, and I changed after that day. That day, I realized. Just because I help people doesn't mean they're going to be loyal to me. Just because I bend over backwards doesn't mean they're going to stay with my company. Like it's changed. Now it gets easier because we have so much attrition in real estate. It gets easier, but there's still people that leave that really affect me, and everyone is like, you can't take it personally. Well, it's personal to me. Yeah, this is my company. This is what we built. Yeah, so it is personal. So I take it that way, but I get it. I didn't know who to call that day. Yeah, like I couldn't call all of these people and say, this is what I'm going through. I called the one person that I knew had experience, and I'm sure he was the beginning of his career. He probably couldn't do that today. He'd be like, I can't talk for 2 hours. I got 10 minutes. But, I get it. It's tough. Yeah. It's glorious, and it's amazing. And it is. Feels so good when you do good things. Yeah, when you, I always say, like, that's why we started our foundation, right? Because once you can get to that point where you can give back and help, it makes the journey worth it. And I think you got to surround yourself with the right people, too. Like, I've learned even over the past 2 years, like making sure your circle is the right people, so you have people to talk to that understand what you're going through. Like I have a few friends that we meet up once a month and just talk about the problems we're facing, like stuff I can't talk to my employees about, or even my partner Matt. Like I can't. There's just things because we just have different viewpoints, and so we talk to different people about business issues or just personal challenges you're going through, and you got to have those people in your life. I think that's very important, and you got to audit your circle every once in a while too. I truly believe that. Sometimes people come into your circle that may not need to be there for long. They may come in for a reason or a season, and you kind of got to look at that too. Right. It's the journey's wild. It really is. I love just knowing that you feel the same way. You feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know, but does that mean tomorrow we're not going to get up and do it?
No,
We'll
just
hang out there with
right.
it.
You just keep doing it.
That
It's
doesn't mean
just
we don't have feelings and reactions and you know get angry. And so I'm trying to control the anger a little bit because I know I can fly off the top pretty quickly. Since I'm from the Mon Valley, they'll be like, she goes from 0 to Mon Valley in like 10 seconds.
I mean, I'm from Newcastle, so I understand.
You get it, right?
I'm from Baltimore.
Oh,
But
well.
what has helped me, honestly, I'll tell you what has helped me, because I was like that. Stoicism. Like really looking into and
Really?
understanding Stoicism.
Really?
Like that has I really dug into the philosophies, and that has helped me tremendously. Just
That word
I have
keeps
that book.
coming up with me. I have been called stoic so many times in the last 2 months. Well, first of all, I don't cry. So, I mean, that's kind of it's probably a problem.
I
but
didn't cry either much until this. Jeez, oh, Pete. But no, I'm seriously.
like everybody's been kind of like making a joke out of the fact that I don't cry.
I'm gonna have to. Go back and look
yeah,
at
I mean, like Marcus Aurelius, like he was one of the first ones. Meditations is like it's a hard book to read, but even getting into, I think Ryan Holiday's an author that writes a lot about it. I mean, the two sayings that I always live by, memento mori and amor fati. Memento mori means you can die today, so just live to the fullest. And amor fati, love of fate, like love the hand you're dealt. Whatever you're dealing with right now, just love it and embrace it and deal with it. And if you look at life that way, it's like I'm given this for a reason. And you just love the situation you're in. It just makes life easy to navigate, I think. It's helped me tremendously, because I used to get so pissed. It's stupid stuff, like stuff that I couldn't
Stupid.
control.
I
And that's what
agree.
stoicism is. It's like not reacting to things you can't control. If I can't control it, why am I going to get pissed about it?
Right. Yeah.
Just is what it is.
It is not worth it. It doesn't feel good. Like I don't. Like I said, it doesn't even sound nice coming out of my mouth. Like why
Right.
am I so mad? You know.
Right.
But it's not even that little thing. It's all the other stuff that build up to that second.
Yeah.
Right. Then where you do it. But you know, I'm learning a lot, and you know, I've been self-employed pretty much my entire adult life. I did have a job for 3 years, but I've been self-employed. So I've lived on that roller coaster ride for a long time. I'm 55. You know, but. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't want to have a job. Like when someone gives me advice and I think, oh, you're working at a job, like, you have no idea what we're going through. You get to come home and not think about it until tomorrow morning, go into your work and do it. It's okay. That's your life. I don't want your life. I want my life. I just want to be so successful, and, you know, that's what I struggle with. I'm not there.
I have patience, but I also have determination.
Yeah.
So I know where I want to go. I know how long it's going to take. I do what I have to do. But I can get really mad and yell. Have you ever seen Office Space?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
It's a great movie.
yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch
So
that.
my printer
Okay.
was not cooperating for like the last month.
Did you Office Space it?
So bad. But it felt so good. I'm
Basically, a
telling
baseball
you.
bat to it.
I
Make it
mean,
happen.
well, so it ended up
that's
on
the
my
truth.
deck,
All right, listen.
and that's where it started. And then I don't know where I got the strength, but I picked it up and I launched it off my deck. And then I heard my husband. He was like, "What was that noise?" And I was like, "What noise?" And he was like, "I heard something breaking. It sounded like glass and something else." And he's like, "What was that?" Like it sounded like a car.
What was it?
It was my printer. I
Oh,
literally.
your actual. I thought you meant your printer that you go to and take your stuff to, like the
Not
person, the
person.
printing company.
No.
I'm like, oh, you
No.
threw your printer.
I mean, literally, it
That's
was
your
like that.
printer.
It was like
That's
that
called assault.
mama strength. Like I like. What? I mean,
Was
and
it awesome?
oh my god, it was so good. And then I continued to yell
breaking
at
things,
it.
is that part of stoicism?
No,
Stoic?
that's
No.
definitely
Okay,
not.
we're gonna have to
That's
get some
definitely
help, me and you.
It's
I think
definitely
we might
not.
have to read
Yeah.
a
But
little
that
bit more.
wasn't. It's like I could have been in a rage room. Is
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what I was
You
doing.
have to find a release as an entrepreneur.
that
I feel
was
like
a
that is something
release.
we entrepreneurs also have to. You have to figure out.
What is your release?
I tend to work out. Like
So workouts.
Yeah, like that's kind of that's a stress relief, or cooking. Like I like to cook.
You like to cook?
Cooking is the only time my brain is focused on one thing.
Wow.
That's true, and that's why I like
So what
it.
do you
Like,
cook? Like, what is your specialty?
I mean, I'll cook like Mexican, just whatever. I'm not really have a
He's
specialty.
Italian, he's
I know he's cooking.
So I
Mexican.
cook. I cook Italian. I mean, I can cook whatever. It's just the act of cooking is what I
you
like.
love.
It's just being in a creative mode of taking ingredients, putting them together, and figuring it out.
Because you can't. You have to focus.
Because you
or
have
else
to
you're
focus
gonna
on
really
exactly. I
make taste-
can't. I'm
yeah.
not distracted by anything. I'm only focused on that. So that's really. And I tend to just. I think when you change your perspective, and you really just start enjoying everything, the ups and the downs, you don't really need that release as much.
Something recently I've learned about is after the bad thing happens, they're normally the good is coming.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So some people are like, I'm glad it's here because I know what's coming after this is amazing. So that's been a perspective that I've really taken. You know, when you're dealing with your father dying, who was your person that you love so much, and you deal with all of that, going through that, I started looking at life differently because what you said about you could die any minute.
Yeah.
So now I look at it differently. When I'd have a pain before, I would be like, oh, maybe I'm dying today, right? Where now I'm like, if it is my day, it's my day. But you know what? I gave my very best, and I'm doing my best job. So it is cool how things affect you and help you to change.
Absolutely.
If you're that person. Like some people, they'll be affected and won't get back up, right?
Yeah, you have to be open to change. Yeah. You have to have an open mind to letting, and when, like you said, when the bad thing, I'm sure if you look back on your career, I can look back on mine, after everything that I thought was bad in the moment happened, something positive,
Definitely.
Absolutely better happened afterwards.
Right.
But in the moment, you're just like, oh, this is the worst.
Horrible, right.
And then that's why I kind of now that oh, it's terrible has gotten so short in my mind. So I'm like, I know it's coming.
Right, you know it's coming.
It's just something I have to deal with. It's the problem I have to solve. Let's move forward. And that's kind of how I look at life now. It just made it so much easier.
Yeah. And so after the 4-hour cry, that was that day. It never happened again. I mean, I get mad. I get through it in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, they're moving on. I'm moving on. Let's go.
Same with me. My printer kept saying unavailable, and I'm like, you are available.
You're right
the
here.
deck. Yeah, brand new print. My printer, my new one's great.
See, maybe that's what you need.
For a reason. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm definitely going to take some advice from you, Rocco, today because that's
happy. Yeah.
Just sitting there in my.
I wish I could cook. I hate to cook, but I like to bake.
Baking, I don't like to bake.
See, I like the baking because it's precise.
I don't like the precision.
I do.
Never tastes
I
the
love
same.
to be able to follow directions, how they're supposed to be.
I like Italian food,
very
so
precision, and then everything is exactly how it's supposed to taste. And
I'd be a terrible baker. I just throw things together, and I go on taste. I cook on taste. So if baking, like I will never bake because I don't. It's too.
Taste the dry flour.
It's too precise. Like I don't want to follow directions. Like I'm not a rule follower. Like entrepreneurs were not rule followers. So if someone tells me to bake cake, I'm like, I want to try a different way. I want to put some different ingredients in.
But see, I'm like that in my day to day. So then that's something where I'm just like, oh, okay.
I get it. I get it. That makes complete sense. I get it.
I think that's why I don't have a thing. That's the problem. That's what it is. I figured it out just now. I need a thing. So I need something.
I didn't say a bake.
I mean, I need something
I
to get rid of
prefer
it all.
to. Not anymore, Riley. I have nobody to really bake for. Yeah. The kids are all older. My husband works 80 hours a week. I'm not going to bake and eat.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
You might like a baked good when he came home after our 80.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. No, that's fine. That's all good. So when is the first time, I was thinking this earlier, the first time I ever met you, somebody introduced you to me.
I spoke at that event. I
Yeah,
think.
virtually. And I was like doing a network thing and someone said, oh, there's this guy, he has this TED Talk. And I'm like, oh, okay, and I was like, on kindness. I was like, that's kind of my jam, kindness.
Yeah.
I was like, I love that. And I watched your TED Talk and I was like, wait, he's an attorney?
Yeah.
You have a TED Talk on kindness?
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, that can't be right. I was like, did you say he's an attorney?
Yeah.
And I watched it and I'm like, that can't be. She's not correct. I was like, and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll have him as a speaker. And it was a female event.
It was?
And we never had men speak. And I was like, we'll make an exception.
No, it was definitely an interesting event. I had fun. It was a blast. It was a blast, definitely.
That's the first time I ever met Rocco. And I was like, all right, well, then we're going to have to pull him into our little circle here and start having, because everything that you said made sense.
Yeah.
It aligned with everything that, I agreed with. And but it was a great, and I remember at the very end of it, I always say, and you see my PL events, I always do something kind of at the end. And I said, oh, there's this list of questions that you should always ask your children.
Okay.
And I read this list, and it was like, not necessarily all questions, but it was like, anytime that you meet someone, always shake their hand and look them in the eye. And I get done reading all this, and he leans over, he goes, I've read all those to my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And I'll never forget that. And I was like, okay, we definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
I was like, all right. So we see things the same way.
How many kids do you have?
3.
3. How old are they?
My son's 22. He's graduating college next weekend, and he starts working at the firm on the 15th.
Really?
So yeah, he's going to go to law school. He's taking a gap year. So he's going to work at the firm and kind of do finance and operations. Then my 2 daughters, Ellie's 14. She's a freshman in high school, and then Melina's 10. She'll actually be 11 on Sunday.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
Great ages.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of fun. The teenage years, I'm kind of like,
Teenage girls from 13.
I just don't want to deal with boys like that. That's what I'm just
I
like.
can't even imagine. My dad had 3 girls, so he was definitely a girl dad. And if, I don't know, when I think back at all the stuff that we did, I feel for you.
Don't tell me any of that, please. No.
All right, let's talk about something else because Rocco don't want to hear about the girl stuff.
Well, he needs advice eventually.
Seriously,
yes,
you
no,
just
I
need to
know.
be really stern about it because boys are.
I look at my daughters, and I've always said since they were little, I said, I have to be the example of the man they will hold every man against. And that's kind of how I live my life. I always say, so I open doors. I make sure, and I just say, because I am the man they will judge every man against. And that's truly how I've always, and then even with my son, I've said the same thing. Like he's going to follow in my lead. And so it's just, and it's not, what I've learned over time with kids is, it's not what you tell them, it's what you show them. Because there's been things in my son's life that I've watched him do that I never really told him, but he watched me do it. And that's when it clicked for me. Like, they observe everything. And it's so important to just be cognizant of that as a parent, to just...
They're sponges.
Have you always been like that since you were a parent, or is that a lesson that you learned?
I just, well... From
your family?
Yeah, I mean, my mom was always like... My mom and my grandmother really just always were the good examples in my life. And... They always told me, one, treat everybody with respect. That was the first thing. Like, we're Italian, like, we respect everybody, above you and below you, and whatever you do, be the hardest worker in the room. That was the 2 lessons they really instilled in me. And then with Gabe, when he was born, because I had him when I was in law school, so I was in my 20s, a single dad, and I just said, okay, there's this little boy that I now have to be the example for. And so I just lived no one told me that. I just lived my life certain ways, knowing that he was going to be a version of me, and what is that version I wanted him to become. And that's just how I've always looked at it. And it gravitated towards just, and he is. I mean, he's a great kid, and he's respectful and smart and kind, and my daughters are the same way. So I think just setting a good example as a parent is very important, especially in today's world, because this world is crazy. Oh my goodness. And I mean, the younger generations, like, we have to change them. Like, that's what I look at. Like, it's our obligation. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. We have to be willing to be the change. That's
what we were just saying. Everything starts at home.
It does. It really does. And people don't understand. Like, that's so important. Like, I always come back to, you can't tell them things. You have to show them. Like, I'm not going to, and I say that with my employees. Like, I'm not going to tell them to do something I'm not willing to do. Right. Like, I'm not going to expect my employees to take out the trash if I'm not willing to take out the trash. I think you have to be the example as a leader, as a father or mother or an entrepreneur. Like, you have to lead by example, and it's so important.
My grandpa came from Italy.
Okay.
He came over on the boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So I'm Italian, but he was wild. Yeah,
my grandmother was like, she was the patriarch of the family. I said she was, she made the rules, definitely. She was a hard one.
I'd love to go there. I guess you've been there?
I haven't been, no.
You have not?
No, I have not.
Me neither.
No.
I'm working on tours.
You are? That's right, the tours of Italy.
It's so hard because I feel like I have to have 2 weeks to do it. Okay. And it's really hard to just take 2 weeks away.
Why do you well, because the flight is so long. And
if I'm going to do it, like, I want to do it right. Like, I want to spend time there, and I want to do it when my daughters are at an age where it would make sense to bring them. So it's something we plan on doing. We always said maybe the summer because the summer I turned 50 is our 20th wedding anniversary and Ellie's high school graduation. Maybe we'll do it that summer.
That's a great summer.
I'm planning for the next 3 years tours.
Okay, well, maybe I'll think about that. No, we'll see. We'll see. It's still up in the air. Don't hold me anything.
My grandmother actually had a child there before he came here, but we know nothing about them. Like, we have no idea where they are. And so he had a child, and then a son, and he had a daughter. But that's the end of it. Like, I have no idea how to find. They're probably not here anymore, but there's somebody that's related to my grandfather there.
Wow.
So that would be interesting to find. I just have no way of finding it. But
yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I can't. I did that 23andMe, and I had people coming out of everywhere.
I
got another cousin that just came to me. She's
I have that as well. I have that app as well. It's like, oh, you got a new relative. I'm like, well, do I? I feel like, okay. Thanks.
I said, that is the scariest email you can get.
I know.
They keep coming. Yeah. You have a new relative. I was like, oh, no. Here we go. Here we go.
Yep.
How are we related?
You can't pick your relatives.
No, you definitely can't.
I'm telling you, it's crazy. It is crazy. Well, tell us about your foundation, because I know you have a gala coming up. Yeah.
17. So
Yeah.
yeah, we started it last year because we wanted to have this gala, like just for clients and to just connect people. So we have a lot of business we work with, and we were going to partner with a nonprofit. And we said, I've always wanted to start one. So we just started our own. It's called the COG Foundation. It's really the purpose of the foundation is to empower the youth, like the underprivileged youth in this area through entrepreneurship. So what we're doing is we're going to do a pitch competition next spring, hopefully. We're going to go in the schools and do like a Shark Tank thing. So it's, give kids a chance to pitch their business idea. And it could be a business as simple as a landscaping business and give them an investment and some advisory services. Then we're on a scholarship, and we're going to go into schools and talk to kids about the non-traditional path. Like, you don't have to go to college. Like, there's other things to do. And I think kids need to be taught that because there's so many smart kids out there, but if they're in like underserved districts, they're not getting exposure to what is out there. And I think we want to be able to do that through the foundation. So that's the whole point of it. And I could have the gala on the 17th to just raise money and awareness for it. So it's fun. We're still in the infancy stages, but I'm excited for the growth of it. It's going to be a good thing, I think.
Good. Do you have like a committee that's?
Yeah, we have a board. There's 5 of us on the board. We're the ones that kind of put the gala together, and then it will from after the gala, we're going to kind of sit down and say, okay, like what we need to break up smaller committees, like to go into schools, to find entrepreneurs, to set up the pitch competition. So that's going to be like late summer planning. So we're getting there. It's a lot of work.
It is.
It's a lot of work with the foundation. So slowly but surely, we're getting there.
That's what Peel did that. We started that last year with our scholarship program.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that was for trade school and traditional.
Okay.
So we wanted to give scholarships to both.
Yeah, okay.
So we pulled somebody in who has been doing this for 20-some years.
Oh, wow.
So she had so much just background on this. And when I asked her to help, she was like, oh, I'm happy to help. And then I had a luncheon with her, and she had this stack of stuff like this.
Wow.
And she was like, here, do some research. This is what we've been doing. And I was, oh my gosh, she was a wealth of knowledge.
Holy crap.
And I started going through everything, and it was phenomenal. There's so many different ways that you can go about.
There are a lot of different ways,
You have to make sure that it's, that you're very even throughout all of the districts, and that you're hitting all of the schools.
Yes.
You're making sure that you're everywhere. And
that's what we're doing. It's a very daunting task. It really is.
Junior Achievement's a great place to start.
I spoke to some people there, because the president was in my Vistage group, so I spoke to her about a few things. But we're still in the infancy planning stage. We're just trying to build the awareness and raise funds for it. So I think within the next year to 18 months, we'll have it more off the ground. So it's exciting, definitely.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
It's such a
to
feel
give back.
good. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I started Peel.
Yeah.
That is the charitable arm of my company. But I mean, giving back to the community.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. I think every company should have some aspect of giving back.
Yeah.
For you to be doing your gala and doing that and giving back, I mean, you're probably one of the most charitable people that I know.
I mean, I like to help, if I can. Because I think when you grow up with nothing, then you can get to a point where you can. Like, I'd love to do it. I want to help. Like, what's the point of doing all this stuff if I can't help other people?
Right.
So that's, I mean, I just truly like to do that. So,
I mean, every time I go to something, it's like sponsored by COZZA Law.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, why? Right. Plus, it's also good marketing. I'm not going to lie. It's good marketing and branding, but I truly just want to help.
Right.
And now that we have the means to do it, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So,
But not everybody would do that.
True. I mean, that's 100% right.
It's
definitely not most firms don't do that, which I've learned. But we just tend. That's why people come to us all the time for it. And most of the time, I'll say yes. Yeah. It's. I mean, not every time, but
if it makes sense.
If it has some connection to me or it resonates with me, then of course that will help.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, it's beautiful. I really think so.
Try.
So, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the gala. I'm definitely coming.
Yes, it's going to be
we went last year because we always want to support you as well.
I appreciate that, yes. I'm excited for it. I just can't wait till it's done, all the planning's done, and we can just move on to the next thing. It's a lot of work to put a gala together.
Yeah.
I realize that, so I'm excited.
That's for sure.
Yes,
definitely. I mean, coming from someone who's put together a lot of really large events, it is. It's a lot of work, but the night of is... watching everybody's faces when they come in, and they're
I'm excited for that.
They're happy to be there and happy to give.
Yes,
it's great.
Yeah.
But I thought last year too was great because was it Ben that you gave a chance to? Was it Ben? No, Matt. Matt spoke.
Yep. Yeah. We'll both do it again this year because I mean, the gala was his idea, and then the foundation was mine. So we kind of talk about it together, and he's been an integral part of all this. So, he's just as much involved as I am. So I definitely will give him the spotlight to speak.
Just going to say, but it's great that you always give him the spotlight too.
Of course. Yeah, I don't need the spotlight. I'm not a spotlight person. Like, I'll give anybody the credit that deserves it. Yeah. So he definitely deserves it.
Well, that's great. Yeah. Not everybody does that either.
No, I know. I'm just trying to do it differently.
Yeah. Well, this has been a really great interview.
This has been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, we do like to end all of our interviews with a little frostbite question.
Okay.
So I let Dionne take a peek at all the ones that are there. They're tough. They're tough.
Huh, let's see.
Okay. Which you've answered so many of them. Difficult. So I'm going to go with this one.
Okay.
Before we go, could you leave us with a frostbite, that defining moment when you realized the potential of your ideas and decided it was time for you to take that leap? Now, you worked at that other company. So what was that moment?
I know the moment was I was working in a company. I was the only senior executive that lasted through like 7 or 8 management changes. And the CFO that I worked with last, he was a good friend, great guy, knew what he was doing. They fired him. And that was it. That's when I knew it's like they don't know what they're doing. The sales team was not selling. He was cutting costs, and he's the only one that kind of could get the ship in the right direction. I said, that's it. And I just came home and told her I said I'm resigning. We were in the middle of getting acquired by a company. I was in the middle of due diligence, and I said, I'm done.
And that was it?
That was it. And the new CFO was appointed. He scheduled an all-day meeting with me. He came into Pittsburgh, actually in South Point, scheduled an all-day meeting to go over the due diligence. And I walked in and said, before we get started, I said, I'm resigning. Gave him 4 weeks notice. And it was one of those moments where I thought it was going to be like in the movies where it's like, I didn't feel anything. I just walked back to my office and said, okay, I guess I got 4 weeks to figure it out. And that was it.
And did you stay there for 4 weeks?
Stayed there for 4 weeks.
Did they have the 8-hour meeting with you?
No, that was it. He had because there was no succession plan for me, so he had to figure out what to do. And I told him I'd stay and consult for a year and help them. So they did that. But it was, that was the moment. And I just jumped.
That was super defining.
Yeah, because it was scary because I didn't know. Like I had somewhat of a plan, but I just said, I don't want to be here.
Do you ever hear that story about burning the boats?
Yeah, that's what I did.
You burned the boats.
Yeah, I burned the boats.
That's what happens when you're an entrepreneur. There's a day that you're going to say, I've had enough.
Yeah, that was it.
Burn the boats.
That was it.
Can't get here without working.
That's exactly what it was. I burned the boats. Yeah. You have to, though.
All right, Rocco. Well, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for another episode of Frostbites. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Rocco and Dionne, for being here. And we will see you guys on the next episode.